The top story is Ethiopia urges International Development Association to bolster its commitment to Africa's development journey. And domestic debt said to play a significant role in the development of African countries. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. A very warm welcome to EBC World with me, Shifara Walako. Now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed and his delegation arrived in Nairobi, Kenya to participate in the International Development Association IDA 21 Replenishment Summit. In his remarks at the summit, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed noted that Ethiopia's resilience amidst challenges is evident through structural economic reforms, prioritizing macro stability and productivity. With a focus on accessible education and youth empowerment, Ethiopia aims to create over 2 million new jobs while prioritizing universal energy access, digital transformation, and environmental stewardship through initiatives like the Green Legacy Initiative. The summit seeks to emphasize to IDEA donors and other partners the crucial priority areas for development financing in Africa, urging donors to strongly consider increasing funding for the IDA 21 cycle. Ethiopia urges IDA to bolster its commitment to Africa's development journey, the Prime Minister underscored. A national e-commerce strategy validation workshop took place in the presence of Deputy Prime Minister Tamasgen Truna. The workshop brought together other high-level government officials, including Minister of Trade and Regional Integration, Gebra Meskel Chala, Innovation and Technology Minister, Belete Molla, and others. Speaking on the occasion, Deputy Prime Minister Tamasgen stressed the need for intensifying digital technologies in all sectors to bring economic transformation in the country. He further underscored that the main objective of this national e-commerce strategy is to execute national projects, sustainable economic growth, and enhance competitiveness. After gathering adequate inputs from stakeholders and to enrich the document, the strategy will be approved by the Council of Ministers. UN Assistant Secretary General of Youth Affairs Felipe Polier says that young people should participate in the reform of the United Nations system to deepen global cooperation and protect their interests. The Assistant Secretary General made the remark in his keynote address at the Africa Youth Consultative Forum on the UN Summit of the Future 2024 held in Addis Ababa. The African Youth Consultative Forum on the UN Summit of the Future is a preparatory event aimed at galvanizing the participation of African youth in shaping the outcomes of the upcoming UN Summit of the Future. And moving to business stories, Ethiopian ambassador to Pakistan held discussions with representatives of chambers of trade and industry and company representatives of various cities. The ambassador, Jamal Bakar, presided over an Ethiopian-Pakistan business forum in Sialkot City, where he had discussions with business people and industrialists that have shown interest to explore investment opportunities in Ethiopia. The ambassador briefed the Pakistani business communities on the trade and investment opportunities in Ethiopia, assuring them of government's commitment to providing them with all the necessary support.
በርካታ ወንዞች ይገኛሉ ብሔራዊ ፓርካችን ውስጥ ከነዚህም ለሀገሪቷ ኢኮኖሚ ሁሉ ትልቅ አስተዋጽኦ የሚያደርጉ ወደ 55 የሚደርሱ ትላልቅና መካከለኛ ወንዞችና ጅረቶች
55 of Ethiopia's rivers and streams with significant contribution to the nation's development flow from the high grounds of the park all the way to the Omo River. As you very well know, the new Kosha hydroelectric project located in the southwest of the country is the second of a cascade of dams next to the GERD. With an installed capacity of 2,200 megawatt, the dam is another blessing originating from this park. As far as waterfalls formed in the upper states of rivers, we have no less than 10 falls in and around the park.
Several lakes, waterfalls like the Barbo and others, including a hot spring from hydrological features, are in the park. This has necessitated the installation of facilities for water tourism. Tourists are provided with efficient means of transport along these hydrological features.
Welcome back. Domestic debt plays a significant role in the development of African countries. This remark came at a workshop focusing on the domestic debt problem in Africa being held in the UNECA in Addis Ababa. Themed Unraveling the Domestic Debt Problem, the workshop is organized by the Macroeconomic and Governance Division of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa. Johannes Fantano reports.
Domestic debt has become increasingly important in several countries over the past 2 decades. Domestic debt offers an alternative source of financing for African countries, particularly for those with relatively limited access to international financial markets.
Basically, we have situation when
approached by EBC World, Zuzana Shwidrowski, Director for the Microeconomic and Governance Division of the United Nations Economic Commission for Africa, echoed the increased importance of domestic debt in Africa.
Public debt has evolved over years. I mean, when it comes to the level for the Africa as a whole, it is similar as far as debt, total public debt relative to GDP, to what it was in prior to MDRI in mid-2000s. However, the structure of the debt itself is very different, and domestic debt is much more prominent than it was some decades ago. And we have just had a brief discussion with the participants, and in many countries it's about half of the total public debt.
According to the director, domestic debt plays a significant role in development of African countries. Governments borrow from domestic sources to finance a variety of projects, including infrastructure, education, and healthcare. She, however, cautioned that high levels of domestic debt can also be a burden on an economy, leading to inflation, currency depreciation, and reduced investment.
There are significant risks of basically domestic debt, especially in African countries where financial markets are not as developed, let's say, as in the developed economies. So a lot of this domestic debt is financed from domestic financial sector and in particular banks. And it creates several types of risk. One is liquidity risk, so that even at a low level of debt, the domestic investors may lose trust in the ability of countries to repay, and basically this source of financing may not be available.
Domestic debt restructuring is closely tied to countries' expectations of external debt restructuring from international institutions, the director added.
It may be difficult for the external sector or external creditors to agree to significant external debt restructuring, knowing that it would mean subsidizing the domestic creditors, because they are getting less repaid while the domestic creditors would be getting repaid the same. So in that sense, the incentives are reduced. If there is significant domestic debt, the incentives for external debt restructuring are reduced.
Africa's public debt is rising, and many of its nations are either already in or soon will be in financial distress. Debt vulnerability has been made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic, the conflict in Ukraine, and the knockout effects of high interest rates in many developed nations.
And finally, the Japan International Cooperation Agency, JICA, expresses interest in expanding support to develop the young people's IT skills in Ethiopia. In an exclusive interview with the Ethiopian news agency, chief representative of the JICA to Ethiopia said that the agency has been cooperating with Ethiopia for 50 years in multifaceted spheres. Jerusalem Batzia takes it from here.
Approached by Ethiopian news agency INA, the Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA chief representative said JICA has been cooperating with Ethiopia for 50 years in multifaceted spheres. Ethiopia has a huge number of population where the majority of the people are young. He said Ethiopia has a big opportunity for economic growth in the future. Thus, the representative also said that the country is trying to transform the economy by focusing on business digital transformation that needs support.
Ethiopian government is focusing on the DX, the digital transformation. I understand that digital transformation can leapfrog the economy of this country. However, as all of us know, some IT infrastructure in this country is still limited. Only a quarter of the people who are living in the urban area can enjoy the smartphones or internet and so on. But unfortunately, third quarter of the people in the rural area still cannot enjoy such an environment. So expanding such IT infrastructure is the main issues for expanding and such opportunity for the people.
Now, the Ethiopian government is inviting foreign investors to the country, such as Safaricom and other industries. The representative said that, in this regard, addressing technical constraints facing Ethiopian technicians in the industry is critical.
The Ethiopian government is inviting the foreign investment to the country, like Safaricom or some other industries. But unfortunately, only a limited number of the Ethiopian technicians are working on that industry. We have to support to develop the younger people's IT skills in this country.
According to the chief representative of JICA, his agency is trying to provide IT training to 10,000 young people in Ethiopia in collaboration with other partners. He added that JICA will support startups in Ethiopia.
We have some collaboration project with the Ministry of Innovation and Technology, and we are supporting some knowledge creation program and the fund matching program for the startup here in Ethiopia. And then we are still continuing such a program. I think it will be the big opportunity for the economic development here in Ethiopia, I think.
Well, dear viewers, you have been watching ABC World. Now a quick recap of the top stories. Ethiopia urges International Development Association to bolster its commitment to Africa's development journey. And domestic debt said to play a significant role in the development of African countries. And with that, we come to the end of today's news. Thank you for watching us. Bye-bye.